Hi, everybody. Eddie Knezovich, NLF Partners, coming to you live here online. Guys, we are going to be using the chat today. I know there's a bunch of you in this room, so I am going to ask for some interaction throughout this presentation. I want to first and foremost make sure that you guys are here for the right reason. So if you're here for real estate continuing education in the state of Texas, you came to the right place. If you are not here for real estate continuing education in the state of Texas, you may want to exit because it's probably going to be a boring course to you. But for the people that are here for real estate education, I promise you this is going to be fun, exciting. This is going to be different than your normal education that you guys get. My promise to you is you guys leave here today with some information that you did not have before, and something that's actually beneficial for you and the practice of real estate in your state that will actually add revenue to your bottom line for the second half of the year. My name is Eddie Knezovich. I run a company called NLF, Next Level Financial Partners. I also run a company called Next Level Continuing Education. And what we are is we are a fiduciary financial planning company. We help people all across the nation, in many different states, but our primary focus is working with real estate agents and also real estate investors. And our entire goal is a little bit different than what you're probably accustomed to. Our goal is to help you get your money out of the market and invest in the asset that you guys know the most about, which is called real estate. So we're going to go through, we're going to educate you guys on some things that are happening in the marketplace today that can better arm you as well as your clients. I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks, some things that you guys don't know about and haven't learned that hopefully can help you add to your bottom line and add some more clients in your Rolodex. You guys don't have to worry about muting or cameras. We cannot see you. I can just see you over in the comment section on the right. Pam, Allison, I see you guys are writing in here. Luis, you don't need to have a camera. The way that you guys are going to get credit for this continuing education class, you do have to sit through the entire course. At the end of the course, Anthony is going to throw a link inside of the inside of this comments box over here. The link will pop in there. You guys need to share your name, phone number, email address, and license number. That's the way that we're going to be able to go to the State Department and provide them that you actually stayed through and attended this course. So if you don't stay till the end, you don't fill out that form that we put up on here, you're not going to get credit for the class, unfortunately. So I do want you guys to pay attention. Give me a second here. I'm going to pull the class up. So guys, my course is called Get Your Money Right. This is a how-to investment guide to get your money right, start investing in real assets, including real estate. Before I go through that, the first thing I'm going to walk through is I'm going to walk through who am I, where did I come from, how did I get here, and how am I qualified to teach you on this particular topic. So my name is Eddie Knezovich. I'm a financial professional. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not licensed to do what you guys do, but I am a heavy investor in real estate. I believe strongly in real estate. But I grew up in very humble beginnings. I grew up in the Midwest in Columbus, Ohio. So if anybody in here is from Ohio, shout out to my Ohio friends. But I grew up in a single parent household. Me, my sister, my mom, this very humble beginning, 850 square foot home, 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. I actually lived in the basement before kids ruled the world. I resided here, and it was good. Childhood was good. It was fun. Thank you so very much. I went to Ohio State. I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. I graduated in 2011 with a bachelor's degree from Ohio State, and I was a Phi Kappa Psi Brethren. So if anybody in here in the room is a Phi Psi, I'm a Key Brothers. My first, just like a lot of you real estate agents, I got into corporate America, okay? And my first job was working for a company, maybe you guys have heard of it, maybe you haven't. It's called DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse Corporate. And my first job was in marketing, and my first salary out of school was $44,000 per year. And I was one of those people that was the first person in every day. I was the last person to leave, and I outworked everybody on my team. And of course, I was 22 years old. I was very green, and I thought that you work hard, you earn what you're worth. And so I had something called a performance review after my first year in the business. And my performance review did not go as planned. Sat down with my boss, and I got ranked a 3 out of 5, 5 being the best that you could get, 3 being reasonable. And everybody else on the team scored a 3. And so this obviously made me very mad because, the other people were older than me. They'd been there longer than me, but they were always late to work. They took all of their PTO, some of them even more than what they had. And so I quickly realized that corporate America wasn't going to be for me. We all got the exact same raise. And I was like, why am I outworking all these people if my merit isn't going to be shown? So quickly, I realized I needed to get into a career path where I was compensated based on the efforts I put out. So what I decided to do was I decided to start to invest in my own future. And so I quit. I put in my 2 weeks notice, went out and started scouring the market for careers, and I landed on financial services. Financial services is very similar to real estate. Reason being is we eat what we kill. So just like you guys, we don't earn money unless we're out bringing in new clients. When I first started out in financial services, I wasn't very good at what I did. So how many of you real estate agents were in corporate America before you got into real estate? If you were, throw it in the chat. We've got to get some engagement going. I want to see you guys responding. So if you guys worked in corporate America, or you work in corporate America now and you're just doing real estate on the side, please throw that in the chat. I want to see some engagement. Yes, I used to. Okay, cool. There you go, Bobby. Pam, yep, awesome. How many of you guys have useless college degrees like I did? I want you guys to throw that in the chat as well. So in 2013, 2014, I was dead broke. I was flat busted. So if you're a real estate professional and you guys have been dead broke, flat busted, I have been in your shoes, okay? I could barely afford rent. I was pledging every single paycheck. Texas Commerce Bank, 20 years for Texas Commerce Bank and Chase. Allison, I love that. Anyways, I was pledging my next paycheck for Walmart, 33 years. Hold on, I'm just reading this. Real estate, 2 years now, college degree. That's awesome. So, Julie, are you still a manager at Walmart, or are you just in real estate full time? Allison, same question to you. 20 years at Texas Commerce Bank. Are you still working for Texas Commerce Bank, or are you just now working in the real estate space? 15 years teaching. I love it, guys. But anyways, so life was glum for me at this time. 2013, 2014, I was not doing very well. I was literally living in a basement apartment in Columbus, Ohio. My rent was $475 a month. I was dead broke. I was flat busted. I couldn't even afford anything but ramen noodles. I was paying, I literally had one stovetop burner that worked. I only had a sink to wash my dishes, and it was tough. It was very, very, very tough. And so yeah, it wasn't a fun time at all. So if you guys have been dead broke, flat busted, I've been there as well. But I had a burning desire to invest in myself and to grow my business. So what I did was I went out on my own. I started an independent financial advisory firm in 2014, 2015. And I pushed all my chips on the center of the table into the middle of the room, and I bet on myself. And it's worked out pretty well so far. So I started an independent firm. And in 2015, at the same time, I started to get some traction with clients. I started to bring on some clients. I got out of debt. And I am a big believer in practice what you preach. So if you're telling somebody that they should be doing something, I feel that you should be doing it as well. So in 2015, I bought my first property. I did a house hack. That was very important to me. There are a lot of financial professionals that are out there in the market that have no clue what you guys go through or what you're living through. So how many of you guys are real estate investors? How many of you guys have invested in real estate? If you guys have ever invested in real estate, throw that in the chat as well. So in 2015 until now, we bought our first unit in 2015. We just acquired our 54th door. So I always joke with people and I say we went from 0 to 100 real quick, okay? So we now own 54 doors, 54 units to be exact. And we do everything from light renovations, light cosmetic renovations, all the way up to full guts. So here's some pictures of some of the recent stuff that we have done, all the way to ripping out kitchens, ripping out bathrooms. My team continues to grow. So I've hired 12 individuals that work for me in my financial planning practice. They also happen to help out in our real estate business as well. So we've continued to grow that pipeline and that as well. That's been very, very beneficial. My family also has grown. I got married in 2020. Actually, 2019. I had my first child in 2020. And I've had 2 other kids since then. So I have 3 kids under the age of 5. And I'm married to my best friend, Madison. These pictures are a little bit outdated. I got to update them and add my 3rd child into these, but I've got a son and 2 daughters. We also don't live in a basement apartment anymore. We bought our forever home in 2021. And we went from a basement apartment to a 6,500 square foot home. So life looks a little bit different for me now than it did about a decade ago. We did some massive renovations before we moved into our property. So here's some pictures of the final product. Some pictures of our dining room, our bathroom. And so you guys are probably wondering, what the heck does this have anything to do with real estate? What does it have anything to do with investing? What does it have anything to do with continuing education? Great question, guys. First and foremost, what does this have to do with real estate? Guys, I've been in your shoes. Every single thing that you guys are currently going through, I have been through, okay? I've been through myself. So if you guys have been dead broke, you've been flat busted, I've been there, okay? Second of all, what I want to tell you guys is I am not special. I do not possess anything that anybody in this room doesn't have. I don't have like a 3rd leg. I can't run faster than anybody in here. I was a C average student at Ohio State. It took me 5 years to graduate from college. I grew up in a single parent household. I've had the deck stacked against me since day one. Okay. So I don't have anything in this, that anybody in this room doesn't have or possess. So if you guys are down and out on your luck, you're struggling trying to get your real estate business going, I've been in your shoes. Keep fighting the good fight. It will work out long term, okay? But what I want to do is I want to teach you guys some different things that I've learned throughout my career, my 14 years of doing what I've done. And I want to teach you guys some things that have helped me, that have helped position me and my family, put us in a position so we're not struggling for the next paycheck. And even though our industries are different, they're very, very, very similar, okay? So I want to focus on that with you guys. I want to teach you guys some different financial concerns that real estate professionals are having today, that you guys are facing in your active marketplace. I want to talk to you guys about the different phases of saving, whether you're new in the industry or you're a veteran, you've been doing this a while. What could you be doing? Where could you guys be putting money to amplify your situation and get you guys in a better spot? I want to teach you guys about the different financial lessons I've learned. I want to give you guys the roadmap so you guys don't make the same mistakes that I've made. And then I promise you guys at the end of this, I'm going to give you guys 3 action ideas so that you guys can go and actually take action today, okay? And actually take action today and make this work for your situation so that you can actually go and do something and move the needle forward. Okay. So stressors du jour. So these are the things that are keeping my real estate agent clients up at nighttime. Okay. These are the things that are keeping my agents up at nighttime: the volatile global economy, the changing job market, and consumer or student debt. So what does the volatile global economy have anything to do with you guys? Well, in 2020, 2021, real estate in Texas was on fire. Austin, Texas was a booming metropolis. Dallas, Texas was growing at a rapid rate. All of your rural areas. I have clients up in Odessa. I've got clients in Midland. Everything was booming. You guys were selling houses $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 above asking price, waiving contingencies. You couldn't keep inventory. The market was so hot. Interest rates started to trickle up 2021, 2022. The market started to taper. Demand started to taper a little bit because interest rates got too high. Now what's happening is you're seeing all over Texas, you're seeing in Austin, is you have inventory sitting stagnant. You get stuff that's just sitting there that's been there for 3 or 4 months now. You have a lot of inventory. So that has affected you guys. The changing job market. What has happened in the last couple of years with real estate? Well, you guys just had the National Association of Realtors, the NAR issue that happened last year. Pushed a lot of people out of the market, the whole commission issue. Another thing that's happened is you guys have firms that you guys are paying money to help you guys advertise for your business that are actively trying to put you out of business. Did you guys know, just due west of you in Arizona, some of the companies, and I'm not going to name them because I don't bash companies, but did you guys know that there are companies that you guys are paying money to on a monthly basis to help you guys advertise for your business? One company in particular that is actively, every single one of you guys has a smartphone. Okay. And they've built a technology where you go and you plug in all of your information. You get approved for a mortgage application online. You never meet with a mortgage lender. You never meet with a real estate agent. They give you an approval. That approval then goes into this other technology where it allows for you to go walk, show and go properties with a Supra. You walk up to the door, you scan your smartphone. No agent needs to be a part of the conversation at all. You walk the property, you can literally put in an offer on the property with a click of a button on your smartphone, and you can execute and build all the legal documents and execute getting into contract without an agent. You pay a flat fee for this service. So there are people in your business that you guys are paying advertising dollars to that are trying to take you out of the industry. So your job market is changing. So you guys have to step it up. You guys have to set yourselves apart from the competition and put yourselves in a position to win. The other thing that's holding you guys back is if you're under the age of 45, it's going to be student loan debt. If you're over the age of 45, it's going to be consumer debt. And these are the things that are going to hold you guys back from progressing forward. So if you guys got conned in 2020 or 2021 to do a 1 year same as cash on an addition on your property, and that 1 year same as cash ran out, now you guys are trying to figure out how to pay for it. These are the things that are keeping the real estate agents that we work with across the country up at nighttime. So guys, I want you to answer yes. If you answer yes to any one of these questions, please throw it in the chat. Who here is actively paying their student loan debt down? Who here is concerned about meeting their day-to-day expenses? Who here is hoping to buy a house at some point in the future? Who here is hoping to buy a home? Did you guys know 64% of real estate professionals do not actively own a home? Okay. Who here is hoping to invest in real estate? And who here is concerned about retirement or your future situation, cash flow, all that kind of stuff? If you answered yes to any one of these questions, you came to the right course. You're going to learn something that is going to be beneficial for your future. Okay. So real estate agents, you guys are all working to pay for the home, pay the student loans down, pay your credit cards off while preparing for tomorrow. You're saving for the bag, for the trip, for your first house, multiple homes, some homes, or even potentially financial independence and retirement. Okay. So this slide, extremely important slide. Okay. I got paid, now what? Okay. So this slide is extremely important. The reason why I love this particular slide is because this slide gives you context as to after you receive your first commission check, what should you be doing with it, okay? So we're going to go through that. Brokers, if you guys are in the room, please save this slide and start to give this to your people when they get into the real estate industry. It's very, very, very important that we do this, okay? And so first and foremost, you get paid. What the heck are you supposed to do with your commission check? So I was, when I got into the industry, I was dead broke, flat busted. So I didn't know any of this stuff. So I wish somebody would have taught me this 10, 15 years ago. But I was always taught that it was you were supposed to pay yourself first. If you're older, you've probably heard that from your parents or your grandparents. You get your first paycheck, make sure you pay yourself first. Unfortunately, we live in this consumer-driven society where like I said before, everybody has one of these smartphones, okay? And what you don't want to do is you don't want to fall into the trap of becoming a spendaholic or being like my wife. My wife suffers from a great disease that's plaguing America. And unfortunately, they haven't developed any kind of cure or vaccine for it yet. You guys may have some family members that suffer from this disease as well. It's a disease it's sweeping the nation right now. You guys probably haven't seen it in the news yet, but you will in the coming weeks. That disease is called Amazonitis, okay? And it's this disease where you click a couple of buttons on your smartphone, and then all of a sudden a bunch of boxes show up at your doorstep. And it's sweeping the country. It's showing up everywhere. You're seeing these trucks driving down everybody's streets, dropping off all these packages. Unfortunately, they don't have a cure for it yet. So you don't want to be like my wife. You don't want to have and suffer from Amazonitis. You want to pay yourself first, okay? And so when you get your paid first commission check, you want to take 25% of that revenue that comes into your household, and you want to move that to the side in your savings, retirement, investment bucket, okay? Next 25%, which is this blue up in the top right, is going to be your tax bucket. So we live in one of the few countries in the world that you can get your hand cut off. You can go to prison for evading the tax man. So we got to make sure that we're paying the piper, okay? So if you pay yourself, the next thing that you want to do is you want to set some capital aside and pay taxes. The other thing that drives me nuts about real estate agents is every single year I cannot tell you how many real estate professionals I sit down with that are paying last year's taxes with this year's commissions, okay? Last year's taxes, this year's commissions. If you are writing a check this year to the IRS for last year, that means that you did not set your situation up or plan properly. So what you want to do is you want to build a situation out where you're paying this year's taxes with this year's revenue, next year's taxes with next year's revenue. And then lastly, this bottom half, okay, this bottom half of your paycheck is the orange symbol or the orange section, and this is going to be your lifestyle. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that 50% of your money or your revenue is used for mortgage, rent, car payment, child's daycare, food, groceries, any of those other additional ongoing expenses, your real estate agent happy hours, coffee chats that you guys have with other agents, that kind of stuff, okay? So we want to make sure that we're living off 50% of our income and that we're saving 25% of our income and that we have 25% going into the tax bucket. If you do that, believe it or not, if you just set yourself up, your economy up like this, you will be able to work for 20 years in the industry, and you'll be able to ride off into the sunset on your own terms. Now, inside of your savings, your 25%, your savings bucket, you need to start building out a couple of different buckets for the future. I don't care what vehicles you decide to go with or which ones you enjoy, just so that you have some of these vehicles inside of your financial strategy or your financial plan. So the first thing that I will tell you is, you've got to have something that is set up or built for you that is built on the short-term basis, okay? So this is going to be liquid, accessible, readily available capital that you can touch within a business day or two, okay? So this is going to be things like your cash, your bank accounts, your brokerage accounts, your CDs, your money markets. These are they're not high rate of return assets. They're low rate of return assets, but they're low risk. You want to have a small amount of capital into these buckets because you need to have liquidity, dry powder on the sidelines if in the event that something happens to you, okay? So you've got to make sure that you've got liquidity, you've got money on the sidelines, so on and so forth. You also want to set up some kind of midterm bucket, okay? Midterm bucket, this is going to be readily available, liquid, accessible capital within 3 to 5 business days. But you do want some money in here because what this is going to do for you is this is going to give you access to liquidity. It's going to give you, market-like returns, but with taking on a little bit less risk than you currently are. So you've got, these are going to encompass things like your brokerage accounts, your cash value life insurance, primarily whole life. This is going to encompass things like fixed indexed annuities. You're hoping for like a 4 to 7% rate of return on these assets, and with little volatility. And then you're going to have some of your long-term assets, which are going to be things like your retirement plan, your 401k, your traditional IRA, your SEP IRA, your simple IRA plan, your post-tax or tax-free Roth IRA. It's going to encompass things like your variable annuities. It's going to encompass things like your pension. It's going to encompass things like your Social Security. And lastly, real estate. I'm going to ask a question to everybody in the room. Why is real estate considered a long-term investment and not a short-term investment? Can anybody answer that question to me? Why is real estate considered a long-term investment? Why is real estate considered a long-term investment and not a short-term investment? Builds equity. Love that. Patricia, thank you for the response. Because you finance and keep it for a long time. Correct. Yes. Bobby, great answer. Allison, keep getting returns year after year. Absolutely correct. It takes time to build those returns. Sometimes you buy real estate, you're not ahead in the first year. You might be behind. The biggest thing, guys, is it's not liquid. Claudia, you nailed it. That's what I was looking for. Liquidity. Okay, liquidity. Very, very, very important. I always stress this to people because, again, real estate is one of those things. I own some of my real estate free and clear. I have no debt, okay, on my property, on some of my properties. And the problem with real estate is that it's not liquid. You got to get a bank to finance somebody to get that asset liquid or clear. So even if you own real estate free and clear, it's not a liquid asset. It's not easily liquidatable or accessible. So, and it's just like stocks. It takes time to appreciate, to get dividends, to get return on investment. So you got to hold real estate for a long time. You don't make $1 million the day that you buy a $100,000 property. Not always. There are opportunities out there that are, those few and far between, but they're not the norm. So, you got to build your portfolio and do it over a long period of time. So as you guys are building out your portfolios, you got to have patience, you got to have determination, you got to have stamina, you got to have focus, okay? Now, if you guys are early and you're just starting out in the career, you're in your 20s and your 30s, I always say this is very important. If you guys are just starting out and you haven't done real estate for a long time, niche to rich, okay? Niche to rich. You guys need to make sure that you guys are building a niche within the real estate community in Texas. There is many different things you guys could focus on. I have a guy that's in Dallas that all he does is plots of land for oil investors, okay? I have a gal that I work with in Houston that all she does is high-rise condo buildings in downtown Houston. I have a guy that I work with that's in Odessa that all he does is multifamily across the state of Texas. So you guys need to, the highest producing or highest earning people in your industry, they have a niche that's all that they focus on. I say niche to rich, okay? If you're a general practice doctor, you're going to make a good living. If you're a specialist, you're going to make a great living. It's the same thing in the real estate industry. Now, if you're older and you've been doing this for a long time, I'm not telling you to change your career and change your career path, but if you're younger, the best advice I could give you is niche to rich. While you're progressing in your career, start to build a plan to systematically or snowball your debt, pay off your debt, start saving for your first home or investment property, start to build your automated, systematic savings buckets for your future. Okay. If you do that, you need to save, like I said before earlier on in the conversation, 25% of your gross income. Build a 1-year emergency reserve fund or liquidity bucket. And guys, if you guys are in this room and you guys are paying taxes to the IRS and you guys do not have a vehicle set up, for your future that is reducing your tax liability down, you guys are in a very, very, very foolish decision. Okay. Did you guys know that you can set up a SEP IRA and you guys can defer up to $66,000 a year of your income into a pre-tax retirement account? And that reduces your tax burden down dollar for dollar by that dollar amount. So if you guys are writing a check to Uncle Sam and you're not max funding your retirement, I always tell my clients, I would rather pay myself than pay Uncle Sam. I don't know about you guys, but if you like just giving away money, that's great. But me, I want to make sure that my family's taken care of when I get older. So I want to put as much money away as possible. The other thing is, if you have old 401ks from when you were in corporate, did you guys know that your investment options in those 401ks are typically limited to just target date mutual funds? So we help a lot of clients all over the United States of America get that money out and get it invested in a diversified portfolio. Our aggressive growth strategy last year, when the stock market did 19.5%, the S&P 500 did 19.5%, the NASDAQ did 22%. Our aggressive growth strategy invested in individual stocks and mutual funds and ETFs did 34% net of fees and expenses. So if you guys are paying an investment advisor and you're not getting sound investment advice, you got to get that going. And did you guys know that even in real estate, you guys can match yourself money? You guys can set up an S corporation and you guys can match yourself money inside of your own corporate plan, and you can start to build that out for the future. So if your employer, or if you can set up a match for yourself and defer on the corporate side as well. So those are the things that I would be doing right now to kind of help you guys get set up. The other thing you guys can do, this is the amount of money. So I always ask, who wants to be a millionaire? If you're not a millionaire yet, who wants to be a millionaire? This is the amount of money you need to invest time you get to age 65. So I know $1 million isn't what it used to be, but it's still a good goal to shoot for. But if you're 25 years old, you need to be putting away $381 per month in order to become a millionaire by age 65. If you are 35 years old, that number jumps up to $820 per month. At age 45, that number more than doubles and it goes to $1,920. And at age 55, you got to put away $5,778 per month in order to get to $1 million by age 65. So what I want you to realize about this slide is, time is on your side if you're young. If you're not, it gets bad. What I would tell you is the earlier you start, the better. The less you have to save, and for the least amount of time. So start yesterday, and if you haven't started, get started today. You're not so far behind that you can't do it, but you got to take action. So start early and make it automatic. All right, guys. Now what you guys came here for, I'm going to teach you guys a couple of methodologies that I personally use and have used in acquiring my 54 home rental portfolio that are some out-of-the-box ideas that you guys can not only teach to your clients to increase sales for your business, but also for you guys yourself to start to arm you guys to become more dangerous when you guys are actually talking about this stuff with real estate investors, okay? So the things that we're going to talk about, we're going to go from most conservative to most aggressive. This is not the order right now, but I'm just telling you what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about hard money or other people's money. We're also going to talk about the infinite banking concept or cash value life insurance. We're going to talk about investing in the stock market and how you can borrow against assets that you own to acquire more assets. And then we're also going to talk about utilizing lines of credit against assets that you own in order to go acquire more rental properties or more properties in general. So we're going to talk about all these things and how you can use these methods to acquire real estate with little to no out-of-pocket expense. So this is called the single. This is the Dave Ramsey method. So if you guys follow Dave Ramsey, this is what he is teaching, what you guys are teaching clients to do in order to acquire properties, okay? It's called the single. So when you guys are buying real estate, okay, most of the people are accustomed to acquiring properties this way. What this is this is the traditional method. So you teach people, they go out, they need to buy property. In order to do that, in order to buy that real estate, they have to, first and foremost, they've got to save up money for a down payment. So the first thing they got to do, they got to save up money for a down payment. That down payment, it's typically going to be between 15 and 25% of the property amount. The problem with this way is it really strangles your cash. It only allows you to acquire one property at a time. It leaves very little room for value add into that particular property. And maybe potentially down the road, you could refinance, you could pull out part or all of your down payment. This puts a lot of strain on savings or funds for opportunities. The time frame to scale your portfolio is very, very long. So think about it this way. I've been doing it for 8 years. So if I did it this way, the way that you guys are teaching your clients to do it, I would only have 8 properties. So think, if you're my agent representing me and I bought 8 properties over the last 8 years, that's pretty cool. You'd be pretty happy about it. But imagine if I bought with the same amount of capital 54 doors from you. Would I be your favorite client or your worst client? Probably your worst, but also probably your favorite. And so what I will tell you is that it's very, very, very important to understand kind of how this works, how this functions. And so, this is the traditional method. It's very slow. Again, it's not the wrong way. It's just the way most people do it. So how do you accelerate this in order to get more sales out of the clients that you guys are working with? Well, I'm going to teach you guys that. We're going to start with the most conservative. We are going to start with the infinite banking concept. So the infinite banking concept, it's not new. It's been around since the 1800s. And what the infinite banking concept is they're a subset of mutual participating, limited pay, permanent life insurance companies that are out there in the open market. And what they allow for you to do is they allow for you to put your money to work, okay? They allow you to put your money to work inside of these insurance contracts, and they allow you to do it and earn a guaranteed rate of return somewhere between 2 and 4% per year throughout the life of the contract. In addition to that 2 to 4% that you're putting away on an annual or that you're getting on your money on an annual basis, the carrier, if they're profitable and they're a participating permanent life insurance company, you can also receive a tax-favored or tax-free dividend in addition to the cash that you're growing your capital by, okay? So dividend rates right now are around 6.10%. So you're getting a 4% guaranteed rate of return plus potentially a 6.5% dividend, okay? Now what you can do is you can take that money and you can buy a piece of property with it. You can pull your money out while you're alive, buy a piece of property. However, I don't know if you guys knew this, but banks are the largest holders of cash value life insurance in the country. I actually also, in addition to working with individuals, I also work with banks across the United States of America, and I sell this asset to banks. So they buy cash value life insurance on their balance sheet as a yield product called bank-owned life insurance. You can go to FDIC.gov and check. There's about $212 billion in the United States alone of money floating around in banks' balance sheets that is in this exact vehicle that you guys can acquire. And the reason why banks buy it is because it grows no matter what. Just like real estate, it grows no matter what. Over a long period of time, it produces a sizable yield that is equivalent or sometimes better than treasuries, securities, and other things that banks would acquire. So banks, knowing this, they will actually allow for you to borrow against or lend against your life insurance contracts at more favorable rates or a more favorable cost of funds than what your money is growing by. So, for example, you can take your money, pull it out of a bank, put it into a life insurance contract, and just like if you had a house that was paid for in full, you can get a line of credit against the money that you have inside of your cash value life insurance. So guys like me, we park hundreds of thousands of dollars in our life insurance policies. And then once our money's inside of life insurance, we can get a tertiary line of credit against that capital. So while our money's growing in the life insurance by 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% per year, we can borrow against that money at a more favorable cost of funds. So right now, interest rates that banks are charging to borrow against this asset are between 3.5% and 5.5%. So I can borrow my money at a lower cost of funds than what my money is growing by. And I use that money to then go and acquire a piece of real estate. I hold the piece of real estate for 6 months and 1 day. And then after the property has matured and it's 6 months and 1 day old, I then take that capital and I do a refi. I pull out my capital out of the piece of real estate. I put it back into the line of credit, and I recycle that capital. So instead, I effectively have saved my dollars one time in one place, but I've effectively flipped it over and over and over and over again. So in your situation, you can save your money one time in one place, grow it in 2 places at the exact same time in a very safe, conservative manner, borrow against that asset to acquire real estate. So now your money's growing in the cash value life insurance. Now it's also growing in real estate. And your cost of funds, which is tax deductible, is a line of credit or interest that's charged to you as tax deductible in using your line of credit. So this is a very conservative methodology in growing your real estate portfolio. The next thing you guys can do is, did you know you can do the same thing in the stock market? If you guys have a brokerage account, an investment account with Fidelity, with Charles Schwab, you could roll that over to us. We could help you manage that asset, grow it in the market, get an 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 34% rate of return on an annualized basis. The exact same thing, we can attach a line of credit called an S block. Now, the difference between this versus the life insurance, the S block is not going to allow you to borrow 100% of your capital like the life insurance does, but you can get between 50 and 70% of the money you have invested in the market. I have a client right now that lives in Dallas, and he's an employee with Amazon. He used to do real estate. He's an employee with Amazon. He wants to flip properties. He's got some restricted stock units with Amazon that he's liquidating, paying the tax hit on. He's going to move those into an investment account. We're going to attach a line of credit to that, and he's going to have his money invested in a diversified portfolio in the stock market, and we're going to be able to borrow $250,000 to go buy a rental property in cash. So now he's not competing against financed buyers. And then in 6 months and 1 day, we're going to pull his money out of the property. We'll put fixed debt on it. We're going to put that back into his line of credit while his money's been growing in the stock market. So his stock portfolio has now gone from 500,000 to 550. His property, he's made money on that. Now we're going to put that money back into his line of credit. Now his line of credit has inched up, and now we're going to recycle that and go buy another property. So we'll cash out, refinance, we'll rinse, and we'll repeat. So this is how you become your own bank in the brokerage world. The difference here is you got to not let the Great Recession rule you. I know there's a lot of conservative people in Texas, and I know you guys got smoked in the oil industry in the 2008 through 2011 timeframe. Real estate market did really bad then also, but you can't let the Great Recession rule you, okay? the markets have rebounded. They've come back. They're now at all-time highs and will likely continue to do so in the future. And you've got to think about this stuff. So over a 20-year time horizon, if you're investing in the markets, you're going to do phenomenally well. So don't be scared off by a little recession, little retracement. Long term, keep your eye on the prize. Remember, diversify your risk, diversify your assets, spread your risk out. There's three financial economists, Brinston, B. Bauer, and Hood, and they won the Nobel Prize for Financial Economics back in 2016 for developing what's called modern portfolio theory. And what they found was that, people cannot time the market. A lot of people think they can, but they cannot. And so what happens is a lot of people try and time the market. They think they're smarter than everybody, and they want to sell when a new president gets into office or buy when somebody gets inaugurated, and it just doesn't make any sense. So what this chart shows is basically the synopsis of what they had built. So if you had invested $100,000 in January of 2007 into the S&P 500, January of 2008, what happened, guys? If you guys remember, what happened in January of 2008? Does anybody remember what happened? Does anybody remember what happened in 2008? Come on, guys. We need a little engagement here. Somebody give me something. Nobody remembers what happened in 2008. There we go. Market crashed. Love it, Nikki. There you go. Crash. Yep. Market started to nosedive. So from January 2008 to January 2009, the market dropped almost 50%. Okay. Now, most people, including people in this room, you probably freaked out. You probably thought, oh, my money's going to zero. I need to liquidate. Now, had you stayed the course and left it in where it was, not made any shifts with your investments, maybe reallocated some of your portfolio. 2016, the S&P was up to 174 for that same $100,000. Okay. Now, if you had liquidated in January of 2009 and got back in the market in January of 2010, 10 years later, you're just back to break even. So by trying to time the market, you left $60,000 on the table. Okay. So you should have just stayed the course. There's no point in liquidating because you already had a diversified hedge, a diversified portfolio. Okay. And if you liquidated, got out, and never got back in the market, okay, now 10 years later, you're at $54,000. You've lost to inflation. So you've really, really lost. Okay. So this is also a very foolish, stupid decision. So what I want you guys to know is don't try and time the market. You're not smarter than the smartest financial economists in the world. Stay the course. Let your financial professionals do what they're doing. If it's money that's invested in the market, keep it in the market. Diversify your risk. Grow over a long period of time. Don't chase the winning asset class. Okay. If you think you're smarter than anybody else, when Kramer is online or on TV and he's telling you guys liquidate and go into small cap stocks, today's winners are often tomorrow's losers. So if you look at for example, small cap stocks, we were at 29.8 in 1999. Kramer's ran and raving on CNBC. Everybody should buy small cap stocks. What happens next year? Small cap stocks plummet, negative 3.6%. Everybody buy long-term government bonds. Government bonds are doing amazing. Next year, what do they do? 3.7. So whatever you're seeing online, whatever you're seeing in the news, it's already been priced in. You've already lost. Don't chase the winning asset class. Buy a diversified portfolio over a long, broad range of investment selection over a long period of time. You will outperform the best or winning asset class for years to come. The last and most risky. Why is this the most risky? This is called other people's money, OPM. And did you guys know you can go to a hard money lender or you can borrow a private investor? I've borrowed money. I've lent money to investors, and you can borrow hard money or money from a private investor. They'll give you interest-only debt to buy a piece of real estate for between 8 and 16%. Generally, this is going to be interest-only debt. What you guys can do is you can acquire and secure real estate. You can make renovations, you can get it rented, you can refinance and hope and pray that real estate appraises for more than what you put in it plus your debt service carry. Okay? The reason why other people's money is very risky is because you have a couple of things that are inherent that you don't have control over. One of them is you have interest rate risk. Potentially, if you go to refinance and interest rates are significantly higher or they haven't come down, it could affect the whole outcome of the deal. The other thing is you have supply chain risk. You also have manpower risk. If somebody doesn't show up to a job and they're renovating a property, you could potentially put yourself at risk there, because if construction gets delayed and you have to wait another month to refinance and you're paying another 16% on the debt that you're borrowing for that month, it could make the deal not affordable. And then lastly, again, you have to pay that balloon payment at the end. So you've got to make sure that appraisals are where they need to be. Appraisals are starting to come back down. So this is also an inherent risk. But guys, what I want you to know, stay focused on your savings goals, automate your savings, stick with a disciplined strategy, and please, most importantly, don't be swayed by emotions or the news. This is how to get in touch with me. If you guys are on Instagram, shoot me a follow. If you guys are looking to connect, here's my contact information. This is my cell phone number. It rings through to my actual cell phone. I'm going to open this up for questions. If you guys have any questions under the sun related to your particular situation, I want you guys to throw it in the chat right now, and I'm happy to answer those for you. One thing that I don't normally do, but I'm going to do for you guys right now also, Anthony, can you throw my Calendly link in there? It looks like it may have just shown up. The Eddie Knezovich, my Calendly link, it says RECE follow-up financial discussion. I do not charge to meet. So if you guys have some questions that you're curious about and you guys are looking to learn more about any of these items that we had discussed and you don't have an outlet for them, I would be happy to discuss these with you in a one-off cadence or basis. Anthony, are you able to throw the link in for them to put their information in so they can get credit for the course? There you guys go. So guys, you guys will see this in here. It'll say next level continuing education, and it will say NFL Partners webinar attendance. You guys need to highlight that, copy and paste that into a new page. And you guys will need to do that to get credit for this course. We will report these. We will report these as soon as we have them. Guys, any questions at all? Well, everybody, I hope you guys found this to be beneficial. I hope you learned a tidbit or two that you didn't know about real estate. Congratulations on securing your hour of continuing education credit. We look forward to growing with you guys in the future. Please don't keep us a secret. If you guys see our advertisements for more courses, we hope you guys will attend. Hopefully you enjoyed the free class and it was awesome for you. And, if you ever have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I love you all. Go out there, crush it for the second half of the year, and have a wonderful day. Thank you guys so much for your time. Have a beautiful afternoon.